So welcome back, everyone, to another episode of In Conversation with Future Farm. Today, we are particularly excited to introduce an incredible guest who is the awesome coach specializing in feminine and masculine energies, particularly looking in relationships and entrepreneurships. It is Kim Barnstorf. Kim, welcome to our conversation.
Oh my God, you're making me blush. Thank you. So good to be here. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed our conversation so much, and I'm sure I'll love this one. So, do you want me to get into what I basically do?
Yeah, let's jump straight into it. So, I mean, we're talking about energies, which I think to our audience is going to be quite an interesting concept to understand what it is, and as if we could start there, I think that'd be a fantastic place here. What are the energies we're talking about, and how are they impacting us with our relationships?
Yeah, sure. Perfect. Okay. So, I basically help people master their minds and therefore their relationships, because it doesn't matter if it's business or romantic relationships, because at the end of the day, we're all humans, right? And what I often see and what I've learned throughout life as well is that we're usually run by patterns that are unconscious. So we just do, we act, we react, but it's often that we find ourselves in a position where we don't get to consciously choose, just because we don't know what's going on within us. And those patterns show up in our thinking, emotions, and behaviors. So as I was just saying, we just do as opposed to consciously choosing. And I really like the concept of feminine and masculine energy, because it helps us create awareness around our patterns. And that's what I'm all about, creating more awareness and clarity around who am I, how am I acting, how am I showing up, how am I reacting. And I think when you know that, the better you know yourself, the more attuned you are to yourself, the more you get to choose. And that's mental freedom, which I love.
And it's very interesting, because when we had our first conversation and you introduced me to this idea, just off the back of that one conversation, I did start noticing a little bit more when I was tapping into particularly masculine or feminine energies, or what I was bringing into the conversation. I think you're completely right. I think once your mind's open to it, you can't unsee it, I guess, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And
that's the beauty of it too, right? Just like knowing yourself a bit more and not being able to unsee it, because that's like greater awareness. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think my sister, who I live with, probably is a bit frustrated at it, but because I keep pointing it out to her. But yeah, no, I think it's definitely really really opens your eyes to a lot of your own behaviors. And while we're looking at the behaviors, can you maybe help us identify what are the particular types of qualities that kind of differ between the two, masculine and feminine?
Yeah, of course. So I think, excuse me. So I think before we go into the qualities themselves, we need to differentiate a word thing here. So masculine doesn't mean male and feminine doesn't mean female. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that it doesn't matter if we identify as male, female, or something else. We as human beings, we carry both energies within us, and we're always a blend of both. So you as a woman, for example, and I remember us talking about that as well, is you might even have more masculine energy within you than feminine energy, given our very masculine society. And I'll say a bit more on that later on as well. And the very same goes for men, right? They might have too much masculine energy within them as well. And so, because I do want to differentiate between male and female and masculine and feminine, because we all know that, you having or suffering from PMS and all that stuff. So, and that's what I got when I sometimes introduce the concept. It's like, no, it's not about that.
No.
So, no. And it's not a scientific concept, but as I said, I love it as a tool to create more awareness. And there are specific traits that have been assigned to the different poles of masculine and feminine energy. And they have different qualities, such as feminine energy, for example, is very receptive and allowing, nurturing, sensual, empathetic, compassionate, flexible, warm, collaborative. What else comes to mind? I think it's about being relational, vulnerable, trusting.
That
When we
nurturing
have,
kind of,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly, yeah. And whereas male, now I'm doing it myself, whereas masculine energy is very focused, very goal oriented, very strong and structured and logical, analytical, driven. And also very rational and protective and stable in a way. And when you overdo it, and we can talk about that some more later on as well, then when you're too much in your masculine energy, how that shows up is that you're, for example, confrontational or very dominant or very controlling. And for the feminine energy, it would be like, oh, it's a stereotype, but it's like very nagging and very like that, or people pleasing and giving too much and not looking after yourself, for example.
Right. And it's so interesting because you're instantly using actually quite workplace examples there, I think, which kind of goes in quite nicely into looking at, what is the link for when you're understanding these energies with entrepreneurship. Is there a way that we could start thinking differently about how we're approaching entrepreneurship, in light of looking at these dual energies?
Of course, yeah, definitely. And I think so, and I've talked about that, but it's so important to me. It's when you have more awareness around how you show up, how you decide, how you interact with others, how you think, how you communicate, how you dress, even how you build your business, how you interact with like business partners, colleagues, suppliers, how you deal with stress and how you make those decisions, both on the job, in the business, or at home, is it's so vital to understand, to get a feel for yourself and to see and be attuned to yourself and how you're showing up. And it's, as I said in the very beginning, we're so often run by our patterns and have basically no idea what we're actually doing or where our behavior is coming from. So it's basically, and I think that's such a vital ingredient to run and build a successful business, to take a step back and to look at, hey, what is actually going on? So when you, I think, yeah, do you want to go into a couple of examples? So that's stuff I've seen my clients do and myself, but I will share it because I'm a big fan of sharing and being vulnerable. We can cut out that piece later.
We can trim, yeah.
So, for example, when your masculine energy on the job, when building your business, is showing up too strongly, in both men or women, really doesn't matter. We can sometimes see bossy go-getters, for example, like a person who's only focused on solving problems without taking other people's needs or emotions into account. And it may look like a strength initially, but if you're like trying to mediate between people, or if you're in conflict with someone else, this quality in your energy is not helpful, right? Because so what I saw my client do, or she told me about, is more like it. She's very much in her masculine. She's head of business development. So on the job, she needs to make decisions, be really tough, and manage lots of people and lots of other things. So when she was having a rough time with her partner at home, she actually created lists, as in like green, amber, red. She's like, this is where we need to improve. This is where you need to step up. This is where I need to step up. What do you think? So, but then again, humans usually tend to not like it when they're being analyzed, like some robot or some machine. So
no,
right, it exploded. And that's the same with team members. Like when someone comes to you sharing a problem, you're not like, okay, this is the problem. I see you. This is what you need to do. Instead of just listening, which is tapping more into your feminine, right?
Yeah.
How else too much masculine energy could show up is, for example, people won't ask for help. I can do everything myself. I don't need anyone. So, and it's about striking the balance, and we can talk about that some more later on as well. But like, for example, if you need to make a decision right now to make sure that your business is Okay, then you need to tap into your masculine energy to make that decision right now. But if it's a bigger, a strategic decision, for example, sometimes it's good to ask for help, to ask for
Yeah.
input, to ask for other perspectives. And when you find yourself being too much in the masculine, you probably won't ask for help. You'll probably tell people off because you're so in need to control everything you do. And then
Mm,
the behavior that you encourage in others, again, is they'll never offer help, right? So, what I see in people who are very much in their masculine energy is that they burn out. They're so tired and so stressed and so overwhelmed, but they can't admit it because vulnerability is a big no for them. And
yeah.
that's where it would serve them so well to tap into their feminine energy a bit more.
Yeah.
Um, Same goes
Just,
with like leading a team. Yeah, you go.
oh,
Sorry, I
I was
get
going
so
to say,
excited. I'm like, blah,
no,
blah,
no,
blah,
no,
blah.
no, this is brilliant. The other thing I was going to comment is it sounds like, you're at real risk of becoming extremely lonely, in those kind of scenarios where you have, so much masculine energy. And that's an issue that we've seen with a lot of entrepreneurs, right? It's, they kind of created an environment where actually, everyone's kind of kept essentially kind of at some sort of arm's length, and they aren't able to really be able to connect with people, be it their investor, their co-founder, their partner. Like it's, you're right, you can see so many examples of where that male energy has really kind of dominated them to the point where they're just isolated.
Yeah,
you know
definitely.
yeah, so
And that was
no, it's,
me for a long time as well, like not having any fun anymore. And I started this
mm,
business to be free to do the stuff I love, right? And in the beginning, when it didn't go well, I was so focused on building the business that I didn't allow leisure time. I didn't allow fun with my friends, family, partners. Like, no, I need to work, I need to work, which is again very lonely, right? And that's not
yeah.
why we set out to do this. And that's what we sometimes forget, especially when you don't have that awareness around. If you just do, you react. You don't, you have no idea of what's going on, really. You just do.
Yeah.
And that's where
No,
this
so
awareness piece is so vital.
no, 100%. No, yeah, completely understand that. You mentioned about striking a balance earlier, and I think that's quite interesting because I think that like I said, off the back of our conversation, that's something I became more aware of. Like, oh, how can I tone some things down and turn some things up and whatnot? But is it a thing? Can you strike balance in this, or are you kind of naturally? Is a person naturally inclined to be more one than the other? Like, is that kind of mixed fluid, or is it quite set in who you are as a person?
Yeah, I remember you asking that question on the first call as well. Is there like a percentage or something?
Yeah,
It's
I'm
like
a numbers
very
person.
masculine
That's
question.
yeah.
I want rules and percentages. So yeah, no, there's no right balance. Sorry. And I think, and it's so interesting because I used to be very masculine, and then I went way too much into the feminine. So now it's about striking a balance, and how you strike that balance is by figuring out, what do I need to do? What
Mm,
energy is going to serve me best right now? So I think it depends on various things. So what situation do you find yourself in? Like the example I just mentioned, is it doesn't serve you or the relationship to come up with lists when you're in conflict with your partner. Whereas when you need to make a business case and a business decision, it might serve you the best to actually have
yeah.
all the stuff figured out, right? And what I get asked a lot is as well, like, how can you measure it? Well, you
Yeah.
can't. Sorry. Because it's not a scientifically proven concept, right? It derives from a more spiritual approach. But I think it's about getting a feel for yourself, for the people around you, because it's not only about ourselves, right? It's about the people we work with, like what energies do they
Mm.
find themselves in? And as you were mentioning your sister who's annoyed, I'm very happy that she's annoyed because I share that concept with you. Um, and it's those traits and the qualities that I mentioned, and also the behaviors that are tied to them. And there is research out there, and there is articles and stuff out there who says women should be more connected to their feminine side. I'm not so sure. I think again it depends on what hat you're wearing.
Mm.
And what I meant is I was a go-getter and I was like, no fun working 7 days per week, didn't create any results, no surprise there, because it's very imbalanced. And then I saw it, and then I went to the other extreme. And that's sometimes what I see as well, like having seen that pattern 1 as being too much in the masculine, for example, then you go to pattern 2, which is too much in the feminine, and then you become a slacker. That's what happened to me. Like there's this point in time where it's like, no, I'm just going to wait, sit back and hope that this business is going to grow itself. Again, that's not how it works. You need to find a perfect balance, and that's based on who am I, what job am I doing, what business am I building, and also what do I want my relationships to look like.
Yeah,
it's about consciously choosing. Does that make sense?
no, absolutely. And I love the list of questions, because they are the ones that I think a lot of people will hopefully pause and ask themselves that, right? Like I think it's really, I think these are kind of questions I think it's really interesting to quite regularly, monthly, check in with yourself, like, right, like in kind of saying, actually, you know, what am I bringing, what am I not doing, am I still on my track, and you know, kind of, you know, am I being my authentic self, right? So I think this is a really interesting kind of toolkit almost to kind of be assessing that with. So as a kind of, I guess, as a kind of follow on, like, so what would you advise people who are interested in learning more about this and about how their own energies are working or not working? What's the kind of next step that you would say for people, like maybe how they can get in contact with you, or if there's any things that they can do themselves to start, you know, getting on that journey? What would you advise?
What would I advise? I think being here, listening to this, is the very first and vital step. And as I was saying in the beginning, I'm so happy to hear that you're more attuned to yourself, because that's mental freedom, I think, like seeing it and then getting to choose. And that's where some people are good, right? Like that might be good enough for them. On the other hand, and there's like loads of literature out there, like there's so much stuff on this. And at the same time, I think podcasts, yes, newsletters, yes, research, yes. And at the same time, I think sometimes we need a bit more help to actually figure out, okay, how do I apply this to myself, to my own life, to my relationships? And I'm always happy to have a conversation around that as well. A complimentary coaching session is what I offer usually, because it's about, like, again, do our energies, for example, match? Are we a good fit? Like how attuned are we to each other? And I think if anyone's interested in having a conversation or just reading up more on this, or because I could always share questions as well, and we talked about that, right, as well. Like sharing those questions. Just finding me on LinkedIn, I think, or sending me an email. I think that's the easiest way to reach out to me, or come by my house, which is right in the Alps, in our south of Munich. I haven't seen people in real life for a long time, so that'd be good too.
Oh my god, just wait. As soon as the borders open here properly, I will take you up on that.
Oh yeah,
the idea of being in the Alps right now, rather than, like, you know, urban jungle that is London. Don't get me wrong, I love London, but like the Alps also sounds very nice.
Cool.
Well, listen,
and that's
Kim,
another thing. Sorry to interrupt you, but that just came to mind. I think when being in the mountains and being outside, and what I really like is just walking on the grass with my bare feet. It's just feeling that and being connected to yourself, because I think we're often rushing through life.
Yeah.
And even that topic, I think sometimes people don't see the value in being connected to themselves. And that's like the most vital thing ever in my head anyway. So I think it's about going outside and feeling nature. And if you don't have that, you can do little things, like you can just focus on your breathing, or even, and everyone can do that, is like taste your food properly, like be in the moment and choose what you want to engage with, and not just run around like a crazy chicken trying to get as much done as you possibly can. It's about reconnecting with yourself and
pausing,
making,
yeah, which
Definitely. And making a conscious choice.
which I would say is almost a skill if you're able to do in our modern day life, right? But like,
Yeah.
being able to, but yeah, 100% agree. I think, and maybe it's something, and this is something I know that we touched on in previous conversations, but maybe with the lockdowns and, everything that our world has gone through in the last near 2 years, uh, being able to pause or recognizing the need to pause, I think maybe has kind of moved up a lot of people's priority lists.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's a nice feature that's going to stay in people's lives to
Oh yes,
take a minute.
please. Yes, please.
Yeah.
I would love that too.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely trying to exercise that more, but it's also but listen, Kim, it's been awesome talking to you. Yeah, I mean, I've loved every conversation that we've had together. So this has been really fun. But to all our viewers, we'll make sure that we'll have Kim's details available so you can get in contact with her. And if this is a topic which has really kind of intrigued you, so you can find out a bit more and also work on your own kind of journey to understanding your own energies better and bringing that into your lives as well. So Kim, thank you again, and
Thank you
look forward to speaking
for
to you
having
soon.
me.
Yeah,
Yes.
pleasure is all ours.